Good evening, everyone. You're very welcome to Inside Line Racing for round number 8 of ILR6, and for the first time at the circuit of Paul Ricard. The French Grand Prix is back after an absence of 10 years, last take place at Magny-Cours. But we are back. Brand new circuit to Formula 1, at least for these drivers. And it's going to be very interesting to see what we get in tonight's showing at the French Grand Prix. And Crazy Flying Rob is the first on a flying lap, but he's not alone. There is a Renault that is running extremely close to him on a qualifying lap, which is pretty dangerous to do. This insane rampage in the Renault. We'll keep an eye on that, as well as whatever else unfolds over the course of this qualifying session. And already, what a start. We have a collision, a 5-place grid penalty for Jacko for a collision with Crumpet. And again, these two Ferraris, they're messing around in Spain. And I don't know what's gone on here once again in France. So absolute scenes early on between the two Ferraris. Not sure what's going on there, but well, great start to proceedings here. Anyways, we'll go through the standings right quick. Ant-Attack in the Red Bull is leading on 86 points in second place. It is the Force India of Smudge, just a few points adrift on 78 points. Danskar, a few points behind that, 73, and he's just a few points ahead of John, who is on 71 points. And as for the constructor standings, just get it open. I believe not a ton has changed at the top. Haas leading the way, 102 points. 94 points is McLaren, then 90 points are the Red Bull duo of Rob and Ant. So, come across the final corner. Insane Rampage sets the fastest lap to start proceedings off here, 1:32.7. So, I should get the tyre information on the screen so you can see a lot of different strategies going on. Excuse me, we've got Ant saying the fastest lap, 31.8 on Supers. A lot of people so far in these early runnings electing for the super soft tyre. So does that indicate possibly some sort of weather in the race? Hard to say, but there's a lot more people than I thought there might be having a look at the super soft tyre course strategy we can get into a little bit later. For the moment we'll leave it be for now. 32 flat for Murdoch as they all begin to set their flying laps now. Their first round of laps. For some people this could be their first run of Paul Ricard. And if it is, I do feel sorry, because this is a fun track to drive, but you do need to kind of understand how to go about it and a right setup to go about it, because it's got a mix of long straights, it's got a mix of long corners. You need a lot of instant turn in, so you're messing with the roll bars which are set up. It's a difficult one to set up for, so I think we're going to see. I think literally preparation is always so key in league racing, as Alex goes quickest, 1:31.3 on super softs. Preparation is so key for any race, but I think at this race, where there's a lot of unknowns going into it for many people, some people will have league raced in others around this circuit, and that will be to their advantage. And for those starting off, well, they better hope they can learn on the fly, because it's going to be difficult otherwise. So just on board with dogs, trying to navigate some traffic, slow down traffic. One thing you could tell about this circuit, a lot of runoff area, which makes it easy to get out the way, but it does allow corner cutting to come into effect, and that is why strict corner cutting is on tonight. It's too easy to exploit this track. If you played the game before, the major patches, as dogs says on 31.9 on SF Ultra Soft, if you played the game before the patch, this track was an utter joke, but thankfully it's ready to race. And I think, given mostly Sector 3, it's kind of a circuit where I think you can get, and Sector 1 to an extent as well, you can get a lot of good side-by-side racing here. It's like Malaysia in many ways, kind of how long corners you can just kind of go around, and I think it is a track that does definitely encourage racing. Got yellow flag in Sector 1, there's just a few cars slowing down. So Jacko, having come in to replace his wing, starting a lap. Got a couple others on laps as well. Fernandez on supers with no ERS It will be difficult to set a good lap time without the proper deployment. Anyone else on a lap? Liliart popped himself in 10th on supers. So how many people will we see come in and fit a different tyre in the hopes of maybe raising that qualifying position, that track position to begin the race, but possibly sacrifice a bit of time when it comes to race strategy? It's always a difficult decision to make, and this track is one of those tracks where it's the right strategy isn't always in front of you. You can choose between the 1 and 2, and some people at the moment, majority of people, I think lean towards the 1 stop with a selection of super soft tyres. But of course it is young, session is still young, we've got 10 minutes left, and I'm sure we'll see a number of people make the switch to ultras before it is all said and done. In fact, a couple of people already have. You can see there between the fitted and best. Stanskar puts himself into the top 3, just behind his teammate, but crucially on a set of super soft tyres. So good luck by Danskar to get himself amongst the pigeons, as they say. That's not what they say. It's cat amongst pigeons. I take it back. One of the things to note about this track is see if you can find it. Oh, and there's Pro Opa off the track. I think he's just tried to get out the way, hasn't he? So Toro Rosso trying to limp back. Jacko has set a lap 33.8 on ultras, so hopefully he can set another lap, but he's going to find it difficult with that limited amount of ERS. Left 2 on Danskar, not on a lap, trying to get out of the way. We'll go on board with Crumpet, who was involved in some sort of skirmish with his teammate at the beginning here. Yet to set a time. I'm expecting Smudge to set a time quite soon as well. Smudge needs to get himself a good lap in here. Not doing himself any favours. Oh, that's surely got to be an invalidation. And he's pulling into the pit lane, so no luck for Crumpet so far. And he needs to get himself a time in soon, with time ever growing shorter. Is anyone close to the end of a lap? Mara Messi on Ultra Softs, a new set of Ultra Softs. I think he's just setting himself up for a lap, so he's on a flyer. Starting now, and Smudge, there you go. I said Smudge, you need to get a good lap in, and that's how you do it. 31.2 on supers. Puts himself almost 2/10 ahead of Alex in second. To Mercedes, Murdoch and Baza running quite well for the time being. Baza, I think, just trying to get back. Either preparing himself for a lap or just getting ready to get back to the pits. Here's the judge on a lap. He puts in, he's actually just starting a lap, so he probably must have invalidated or getting ready for a new one. What about Rob then? One of the first ones to set a time. Moves up to 13th. SF Ultra's not good enough for the top 10 quite yet. An ant attack on a fresh set of Ultras. He's gunning for this pole position. Let's see what he can do with it. Still a couple of people yet to set lap times, and just understeering wide is the judge. That was through turn number 6, a very difficult corner, turn 6. It's a very inviting corner. You want to really step on the full throttle, but the nature of the corner just means you have to lift off ever so slightly and keep your desires in check. And once you do, though, once you turn that corner, you can let it rip down that massive straight, which is going to be the source of a lot of overtakes in this race. I can already put that one to you. Where's Bass? An ant-attack, he does go quickest, 30.8. Well and truly then setting the bar, but of course he is on Ultra Softs. And Smudge, he's coming into the pits it looks like. So who's on lap? Plays is on fresh supers. His best lap has come on Ultras, so can he find an improvement on that 31.4 to possibly lift himself a little bit higher ahead of this race? Murdoch and Baza still very, very close. Here's Baza coming across the line, and doesn't improve on that occasion. So they're getting ready, just over 5 minutes to go. Where is Plays? Plays is slowing down, getting ready for a lap. Crumpet just making his way through turn 10. Again, a long right-hander. You really want to take it flat, but you've got to lift off a bit and pick your moment to get back on that throttle. Very technical third sector. Pretty difficult to overtake unless you're running a significant tyre advantage over those in front of you. But an opportunity awaits off of this last corner, turn 15. You can get a good run with DRS. Anything is possible. Crumpet finally gets a lap in, 33.5. Not good enough for the top 10 for the time being. If anyone near the end of a lap, we've got Murdoch near the end of a lap. Ooh, misses the apex completely. He's going to complete the lap though. Despite going wide, no, he cannot improve. 33. And Plays just beginning a lap. We'll have to have a look at Plays. Keep an eye on his progress throughout the lap. I think he has got the potential to make an improvement. That will surely be an validation for Baza. He's just got a lot of people are finding it very difficult those last two turns. And Baza is going to come into the pits. A lot of people finding that turn very difficult. The penultimate two corners. Just got to hit those apexes. Morris Minor, fresh ultras for him. Let's just take a look. So got a few people on ultras, not many as I would have expected, but of course there is still time just for this last run to get one in. Where is Plays? And he's getting close now to sector 3, going a little bit wide through turn 12, but does regain it. Morris Minor pops out at 31.1, so good lap for Morris Minor on the ultra softs. Can Plays go any quicker than his previous time? 31.6. He's a few tenths off of his best lap on ultras, and as it stands, that's the tyre he will start on, the ultra softs. Murdoch has gone for another run, and he does find an improvement. 31.9 lifts him just above Dogs into P8. So a couple of improvements flying through. And Dan's car is out of the session, so he won't be playing any further part. 6th is his highest position that he can start from in this race. Still a few cars really yet to set representative times. Here's one, Daziek. He is definitely quicker than a 35.8, but just really struggling coming out of the final corner. He does set a time, and it is an improvement, but it's still not enough to lift him out of 20th place. 20 drivers here today, so there's no opportunity for let-ups with this many drivers on the field. You make a mistake, you will be punished. So it's important to get qualifying right, and a couple of people have not, leaving themselves in a tough spot for the race. It was close to the end of a lap. Plays is in sector 3. He is not on a lap. Alex won't be taking any further part in this session, neither will Smudge. They don't have enough time to come out and set a lap, so they're pretty happy to sit where they are on supers, and I don't blame them for a second. Morris Minor, I don't think he's got any improvements left in him, not with that much of ERS, and of course 2 laps on the ultras. But what can Ant do? He's in provisional pole, and I don't think he's going to be challenged at this point. So, but he could of course still go faster. It wouldn't change anything at this stage. I think he's set for pole, but it'd be nice for him to extend a little bit of dominance over the field. Maybe give his competition something to think about. We shall see, but it looks like he's the man. He's going to start on the front row. Just under a minute to go now. A few people still creeping around. I believe the judge might be the furthest forward, who is on a lap at the moment. Actually, I'll take that back because Mr. Crumpus just coming over the line. He's still in 18th place, so some difficult day for Ferrari so far. And Jacko is going to start from the back with his grid penalty. What can the judge do on fresh ultras? Can he nip inside the top 10? This is an alright lap, to be fair. And he does put himself into the top 10, marginally ahead of ILRGT, 32.1. We've got Baza on a lap though. I expect Baza to go better than this. On ultra softs, I think he's going to pop into the 31s. And you can see how tight it is from his teammate Murdoch all the way down. Just a few tenths separating 8th from 12th, even 13th if you want to put Insane Rampage in the mix then. I think he's got the potential to be very quick. He's going to be closer to the front anyways, much closer. You could tell that was going to be a good one, wasn't it? 31 flat for Baza. Puts himself in a great position now. Can Ant go any quicker? He does, and by some margin. 30.3 for Ant, and he already had pole position in the bag, but that will be sweet to him indeed. He goes on pole 7 tenths quicker than the second place man on the same compound tyre. So that's a, even though it didn't change anything in terms of his start position, that's a statement lap from Ant. And Daziek isn't going to improve, and neither is the judge, so that will conclude qualifying. Interesting strategies playing out here in France. The majority of the top 10 electing for super softs. The top 3, Ant, Baza, Morris Minor, all choosing ultras. And Morris Minor's ultras are a little bit older as well, a little bit older than you would prefer them to be in qualifying. We shall see how all that plays out in the race. So just waiting for the car of Judge to be wheeled into the pits, and that will conclude qualifying here at the French Grand Prix. Couple of cars out of place. I did expect Daziek to be a little bit higher. I expected John possibly to be a little bit higher as well. But the crucial thing is, with just one set of supers allowed, you really only get one shot at making the lap count. So certainly this is not reflective on race pace. But there we go then, finally qualifying is over. And we'll go run down through the grid. This Ant attack on pole by just under 7 tenths from ahead of Baza in second, Morris Minor third, Smudge fourth, Alex fifth. Plays, of course, tried to set a lap on supers, didn't work. He started on ultras in 6th, Dance Car 7th, John 8th, Murdoch 9th, and Dogs round at the top 10. Behind him with free choice of tyres, Judge, ILRGT, Insane Rampage, Mara, Messi, Fernandez, Rob, Jacko, who will start at the back thanks to a grid penalty, Crumpus and Pro Opa and Daziek round out are 20 drivers. A very interestingly poised race indeed, with some of the top 3 of the top 5, or I think 4 of the top 5, excuse me, or 4 of the top 6, on a different strategy than those behind. And that looks like a dry but overcast race. Interesting to see if there will be any weather affected running at all. It does happen. It does indeed happen in France. I've seen it a lot of times. And it wouldn't surprise me again to see it later down the road in this race. There we go. Let's get concerned there for a second. Right, formation lap underway. And interesting to see, right, so Smudge, obviously we knew. Smudge, Alex, Danskar, John, Murdoch. They're all on super softs inside the top 10. Outside of that, the Judge, Insane Rampage, Mara Messi, and Fernandez and Rob have chosen the super softs as well to go with them. Liliart, Krumpush, Proopa and Jakov decide to go long into this race on softs. And the one lone exception outside the top 10 looking for a good start is Daziek. He is the only one starting on fresh ultras outside of the top 10. Very bold choice. He's going to be looking to make up a lot of positions on lap 1 if he wants to make that strategy work. Not impossible to do a one stop from ultras, but it does take the life out of them, out of those softs a little bit later. And this is going to be the problem then for the likes of Ant, Baza and Morris. They can still execute a one stop fine, ultras to softs, but the guys on the supers, their softs will be much fresher. And if they find themselves behind in terms of track position, there's more time near the end to be had over those who are stretching their set of softs, having pitted early for a set of softs from ultras, I should say. Trying to muddle my words. 27 laps. I'm actually just interested to read the YouTube comments. Apparently Morris Minor's DRS had a fault, so that's a rough one. I've seen that happen in qualifying. It is the most, especially a track around France, to have a DRS failure is fairly catastrophic. Given how long the straights are here, you really are losing a lot of time, a lot of time. So possibly Morris Minor one to watch in this race. We've seen so often this season with Ant, he has chosen track position, qualifying position. Hasn't always worked out for him. Will today be another one of those days, or can he turn this pole position into a race win? He could do with it to extend his position in the Drivers' Championship. As they line up, 27 laps of Paul Ricard. The French Grand Prix is back. And turn 1 has the potential to be an utter disaster, but here we go then. Getting ready for the lights. 4 and 5. And away we go. Looks like a good start for Ant at the front. At the back, how they've behaved into turn 1. There's a bit of squeezing going on between the Force India and McLaren. That's Smudge and that's John. Or Plays, excuse me. There's McLaren involved. Well, Alex has gone wide. And a couple of cars looking to sneak through. John snuck through. He's just, there's Smudge and Morris. The two Force Indias fighting away for P3. And that's a bit of wing damage for Plays. A bit of orange wing flying across the track. That McLaren's going to be an absolute boat to handle around this track now. With wing damage, you really need every bit of downforce you can get. But there's Ant leading from Baza, and Baza's shaping up to have a move. Not going to work on this occasion. And we've got Morris and we've got John side by side. Oh, Proopa's out of the race. Not sure. Oh, there's his car halted in the middle of a chicane while John and Morris still side by side. This is a dangerous part of the race. Go side by side. Oh, and Morris has lost control of the car. Ooh, very, very lucky to get back in one piece and not to collect anyone else. That was hugely risky stuff. Again, like I said, it's a very difficult place to race side by side. You gotta get out of it at some stage. And Alex losing a lot of positions now. Dan's car has got by. So good start at the front for Ant. Looked like he was coming under a bit of pressure, but he's managed to survive. And he leads the way from 5/10 ahead of Baza, Smudge. Then John, Plays, Morris Minor, Danskar, Alex, Murdoch and Dogs round out the top 10. And the two Ferraris getting very close heading into turn 1. And already we've got a pit speeding penalty for Rob. Lilly and Daziek, the two Williams, fighting side by side as they head through turns 3 and 4. And Baz already with a 3-second penalty. That's not what he needs in this early phase of the race. Not at all. So Daziek has got off to a decent start, up to 14th place. Biggest riser has been John. And Plays and Morris go side by side through the chicane of turns 8 and 9. And Plays moves ahead of Morris. So even with that wing damage, he's got showing good pace, isn't he? His Plays. I think John may have made a mistake because Smudge has just got by. And that is now Smudge, the P3, Morris and Danskar. So lots of good scraps early on here at the French Grand Prix, and Alex trying to look for a way through as well. The run side by side heading down towards turn 14. And a very sharp entry to 15. Will he try to switch back? Not quite. So plenty of battles going on. We'll stick with this one between Alex and Morris. On the outside is Alex. He's on the racing line and he should be able to seize that, and he does. That's a good move from Alex to put himself up into P7 and the two McLarens. One has wing damage, of course, it is Plays. And should he really be fighting his teammate this hard this early? Probably not, but you know, your primary competition is your teammate, and not surprising that Plays want to fight this one for all that he can. DRS is enabled, and really, is there any fight for this now? Danskar moves to the left, the braking zone down the inside. Didn't get that move done there, but gets on the curbing a bit, does Plays, and not the best exit for Danskar. That's going to bring Alex into the fold. Let's go on board. Good view here from the point of view of the Haas. You can see Plays struggling a bit, has to lift off slightly. Oh, and there's been a snowball effect, and that has left Alex running into the back of Danskar, who had to get right off the throttle. And now Alex has got wing damage. Now Daziek, an insane rampage, and there's further calamities going on. Alex really struggling for grip. He's off the track. Murdoch has slipped through, so somehow Murdoch has got by Morris at the same time. Possibly further contact between the two as Murdoch into 7th. And wing damage absolutely killing Alex. He's got to come into the pits. I've got another person in the pits. It is Plays, so Plays can't sustain that wing damage anymore. We've got battles up the front. I think Baza's really struggling with those ultras, because now John has slipped through, and now John is up into 3rd, so a good start from John. Looking very nice on those supers. And he's just a second behind Smudge, his primary target now on super softs. Well, ILRGT going down the inside of Alex, decided not to pit with that wing damage, and he is just dropping and dropping in terms of track position. Side by side, Daziek, an insane rampage. It's insane how to get out of that one, and that's going to put him in a vulnerable position, because now the judge has got a much better exit. This is for 13th place. Down the inside, we try judge the braking zone. A penalty from Mr. Crumpet won't do his race any good. So Morris and Dogs, battles absolutely everywhere. Baza is just, I think his ultras have just absolutely had it. He is struggling for rear grip, and he's got no traction. His back end, he's trying to fight every which way. Look at him, he can barely keep him in a straight line, and he can't, and there's contact from behind, and that has led all sorts of carnage to unfold. ILRGT finding himself amongst this battle, and Dogs, huge beneficiaries. They've absolutely galloped past this group. Morris and Alex dropping so far down the order. Absolutely incredible stuff here. I think Morris is going to head into the pits. He is. Yellow flag in sector 3. Daziek. Oh, there's absolute scenes. Insane. I think it's been put into the pit lane wall. I just caught a little glimpse of that. That is absolutely incredible. How that has happened. How can you allow that to happen? I'm not sure, but some very sloppy racing here in France, as drivers really, I think, a lack of experience, both driving and on the track, as the two Ferraris have literally just straight lined that part of the track. Turn, I think that is turn 5, or turn 3 rather, into turn 4 and 5. So absolutely ludicrous stuff here early. And Crumpet trying to find a way through Fernandez. And he gets that move done, and Jacko has to take to the escape road. Missed the braking zone completely. And ILRGT and Dogs, oh, trying to fight with down the inside. ILRGT has been sent into a spin, and Mara Messi manages to avoid it. Looks like Lily has avoided wing damage, so he can just continue on. And not before Alex has a sniff, but he can't get through. A very difficult part of the racetrack to race. And ILRGT was caught in the wrong place. Ant is in the pits. The gap was coming down at the front. A lap 6 now, he is coming in. Now what's this going to be? Set of super softs. I think that is committing to a 2-stop for Ant. A very interesting decision indeed. Should mention ILRGT has had a really good start on these softs. He's looking in a good position for some points. The 1-stopper should be easy, and Mara Messi has got wide, and that allows ILRGT to fly past him into P5. So ILRGT moving up the field well. This strategy is working out a treat for him so far. He's managed to, well, as I was about to say, he's avoided the carnage, but he has been caught in an incident of his own, but has managed to recover. And now is running 5th, and now Mara Messi under pressure from Alex, who's missing part of his front wing. Is he going to be able to get a move done? Lap 6 of 27. DRS is open. And he'll get close, but he won't get close enough yet. He can have another look if he gets a good exit off of this turn. And John has picked up a 3-second penalty, and that is significant. John 1.2 seconds behind the leader Smudge, who I think he's effectively racing for the win today with the 1-stop. Meanwhile, unwinding onto the back straight, Crumpet all over Fernandez, and taking a cautious entry into turn 10. You have to be so sure of the person you're racing side by side if you want to try and move through there. It does take guts, and it does take trust. And it does take wisdom as well. Alex try not to run into the back of Mara Messi. And he's going to continue on. I think he's going to try and stretch these supers to their window, and then he can think about a wing change him, and looks to have a sniff down the inside, but backs out of it. And this is costing Alex dearly. He does have wing damage, but this is allowing ILRGT to pull away at the front of this group, and ILRGT has just picked up a 3-second penalty, of which he's got over half of that made on Mara Messi already. So this is hurting Alex quite a bit to be stuck here. Meanwhile, this battle continues to rage on between Crumpet and Fernandez. Looks like Crumpet's finally got by, but he's having trouble keeping that back end in check. And at the moment, can't quite get through. That's another penalty for Baza. And again, Alex just not in the position to get by. I think Fernandez this time, he's going to close, but he's a bit too far back. Oh, and Plays is out of the race. Has he lost it? Yes, he looks like he's lost it coming out of turn 7. And that is a frequent corner you see accidents in. If you are going to make a mistake on your own, that is the place where it usually happens. And no safety car being deployed in this instance. They're going to race on. So we've lost 3 drivers already. Pro Opa, Insane and Plays. Lap 8 of 27. Field has spread out just a bit. There is Dogs trying to chase down Jacko, who has got wing damage on both sides of that Ferrari. And so this will surely be a fairly routine pass for Dogs, assuming he can avoid contact himself into the back of that Ferrari. Easier said than done. You'll have much better traction through this corner, and with the DRS, just much better run. And with the DRS then, you will breeze by. Now, going to make a mention of this now. You see the racing line and the pit exit are the same. So it could be interesting to see how drivers navigate. There's Jacko off the track again. How drivers navigate going through, kind of driving by drivers who are coming out of the pits, because they are fighting for track position. Speaking of, the judge trying to have a go at Ant. Big lock up, and he's lost the back end. Keeps it in a straight line, and he will keep P9, but that will upset his charge on Ant, who of course has made a pit stop onto those fresh softs, super softs I should say. Meanwhile Alex still can't find a way, and look at the understeer that wing damage is giving him. And Mara Messi looks like he's got equal understeer and really struggling. He's been tucked behind this Toro Rosso for a little bit and he wants to be rid of him. We're getting close to the pit window for the supers to come on to that set of softs. I think in lap 11 or 12 or so, possibly 10 if you want to search for an undercut, which Alex might do, but he's got a really good run here into turn 1, best he's had for a while. Down the inside, oh, he backed out of it. To be fair, he did back out of it. And Mara Messi still holding on to P6. And now Ant is joining this battle as well. And I think Alex is to be looking to defend, and he is to attack at the front. Meanwhile, gap has come down a bit. It is within a second. So John making a bit of ground on this last lap. It was a much sweeter run for Ant, heading onto that back straight, and that should be fairly easy in the end. Getting close at the front. Ooh, and snatching a break in front. How's his run out of turn 9? Pretty good. Now what he's going to do here is Anthony sling one up the inside. Will Mara Messi fight this? He does, and there is contact, and they are both incredibly lucky not to be sent flying off. And Ant does sneak through, but I think definitely a warning there for sure. It was a close call, could have easily ended in disaster, but thankfully both still going, and now Ant is ahead. John is coming into the pit, so heading on to lap 10, so 9 laps those supers did in the end. Set soft compound tyres, and they should go to the end. So then, how will they handle this? See, coming out of the pit lane, there is... Okay, so John will be safe heading down the pits. I want to see if possibly there's another car heading onto the same line, of course, because the braking zone and the racing line and the pit exit are all the same around this track. So we've got Baza and Jacko side by side. Fresher softs on Baza's Mercedes, and he makes I was going to say he made light work of Jacko, but he did run wide, and that's allowed Jacko to get back into it. Jacko will have the inside, but Baza will have the racing line, and of course a lot more downforce with his wing fully intact. And that is Jacko then down to 14th place. Hasn't worked out too well for him in qualifying, and again in the race hasn't looked spectacular either. So where are we then in this race? So John is ahead on softs, well ahead of Alex. Ant is ahead of John, but has pitted for supers and is committed to a 2-stop. So the big question is, and now here it is. So Smudge has come into the pits. He has responded to the undercut that Jono has provoked. Set of soft tyres. I said Jono, I meant John. So a set of soft tyres for Smudge. Where is John? Oh, he's stuck in traffic behind the judge as Mara Messi comes into the pits. How will this affect John, is he affected it? There they are. And it's out of the race. John, the pit exit, as I was warned about, the judge wasn't ready for it, and to avoid Smudge, he hurtled into John, and that sent John flying into the barrier and out of the race. So I was wondering how drivers would find it. Well, unfortunately, we picked up a casualty, and a fairly major casualty in this race in terms of the race win. That is a huge weight off Smudge's shoulders. He is now in firm control of this race, you'd have to say. He's got the judge to navigate, but the judge has executed John on this occasion and moves by ILRGT for P3. So Ant continuing his charge on those supers. Of course, he needs to get this work done because he will have to pit again on those supers, and I don't think it's going to be enough to beat Smudge today. I think the one stop is quicker than the two stop, but we shall find out. Lap 11 of 27. Still a couple of guys, Murdoch and Danskar. And Danskar, oh, the dummy. Oh no, just lag. I thought he dummied his way in and out of the pits, but he is in. Murdoch is going to continue round. And big double lock up for the judge. And much better run. Coming out of the final corner, has to be careful. It was a tough one between Judge and John. They were side by side. I would need a second look at it. Oh, and the Judge almost hits into Smudge, and that forced Smudge off the track. But Smudge does get that move done then. Danskar then 7 seconds behind this battle then. So, yeah, difficult one to say between Judge and John. I would need to see another replay, but it did look like that they just weren't ready for another car to suddenly be there in the form of Smudge coming out of the pits, and that's what this pit lane does. You have to be really alert, and maybe there should have been a warning handed out beforehand, maybe issued, just warning of the dangers that that pit lane does create, that pit exit, because it is on the racing line and it isn't narrow enough straight. And sadly it cost John a wheel and a chance to win this French Grand Prix for sure. I think he was going to get by and all. He was carrying a lot more speed. I think he would have got by, but it is hard to say. Oh, Murdoch is off a spin or some sort of contact. Ant was close to him. I'm not sure if there's an incident between the two or unrelated, but Ant moves up back into first, and now he's got to put the hammer down. This is a crucial phase of the race for Ant on this two-stop. ILRGT also ahead now of Murdoch, who comes into the pits then on lap 11. I think possibly the supers may have just given up on them, and the judge also going to come in and change those supers. So where are we then? Murdoch comes out on supers. Ooh, a second set of supers. I'll have to confirm. So a couple of cars then rejoin the straight. Thankfully none that are going to total each other. Nice little battle developing here. From Murdoch down, who's just come out rather, it's Fernandez, Maramessi, Baza, and Alex is not too far behind this either. So a nice little battle here emerging for what is effectively P9. Murdoch should be able to drive away from this little battle. But I'm going to have to check that when I can. Oh, I thought I saw some front wing fly, and there is a Toro Rosso facing the wrong direction. You can find first gear, son. Oh, absolutely destroying those tyres is Maramessi. Just be really easy on the throttle. But you will find your way around. Right then, this is an interesting battle. Baza and Fernandez, and a lovely move from Baza around the outside to get by, and a poor exit for Fernandez should give Alex an easy run at it as well. And that is both of them then back up into the points. And Fernandez out. Try to wait for a moment because I want to check. Because I'm certain Murdoch has just gone supers to supers. I just want to confirm, and I will do now. Yeah, he's going to make another stop. I think that's either the weirdest strategy choice I've seen or just a flat-out mistake, because of course the rules are you have to use at least one other tyre compound, which is usually the harder of the two compounds, the super or the soft here as it is, but you have to use two different sets. So, oh, a bit of questionable driving there, squeezed Baza and Alex really hammering away for this P10, or this P9 rather. Alex on much fresher tyres than Baza. Oh, hard racing here at France. Hard racing indeed. The other theory is that possibly there's rain to come, and that would explain the choice of Ant and Murdoch. So could still be a weather element to it, but outside of that, Murdoch will have to pit again, which is very odd because again, could just pit on softs and go to the end, but he's gone for an RSS Super, so I think he must be convinced either a horrible mistake or there is some weather yet to play a factor. We shall see. Lap 14 of 27, and still leading the way. He is 9 seconds effectively ahead of Smudge with another pit stop to make as things stand. And Crumpet has made a mistake. Crumpet, of course, has not, or has he? No, he's not made a stop. So on his older soft compound tyres going long into this race, as is ILRGT. And Morris Minor is into the pits. And that's a huge accident for Fernandez. He is out. He just picked up a 10-second penalty, and that is a mighty accident. And he is out. He is the 5th casualty of the day. And Morris Minor looks like he'll pop base just in front of Jacko, and that is for 12th place. So the field has spread out a bit. We've still got pit stops to come. Ant, Dogs, Crumpet, possibly Baza, and Jacko and Rob. They all will probably have to make another stop. And this leaves Smudge in an excellent position to take this race win now that his main rival for this race, John, is out of the race. How is ILRGT's tyres doing? You're getting to the point now where you could really come in and say Supers will go to the end. So if not next lap, if not this lap for ILRGT, I expect it to be the next one. And Ant Attack has picked up a 3-second penalty, so Ant Attack's task is not been made any easier with that penalty. He needs track position, and he doesn't need any more penalties. He's already put himself on the back foot with the strategy. I don't think it's going to be difficult now. Even before that penalty, it's going to be hard for him to win that race. Oh, and Morris trying to find a way through Mara Messi as Crumpet pits. Very aggressive stuff from Morris, and he does move by in the end. But a decent run, a very decent run for Mara Messi coming out of the final corner, and the DRS is going to be to his benefit. You can see Crumpet rather just coming out of the pits. Oh, it's very, very tight side by side. Off the track slightly is Morris Minor. This is good racing here. We go for the lunge. Fresher softs attached to that Force India, but he couldn't make that move stick, so Mara Messi back into P10, but they're going to be joined very quickly by Crumpet, who is on fresh supers. He should catch up to this battle in no time. We'll stick with it for the time being. Again, massive row in DRS. It is such a long straight, and Morris has cut the corner, and here we go then. We have some action. Ant is in the pits, second stop. Super Soft's going on. ILRGT coming in for his one and only stop onto Supers. So ILRGT's one stop has put him right in the frame here, along with Ant, and Dogs is in as well, and Murdoch is only coming across the pit straight now. So this is going to be a straight up battle between ILRGT. Well, I take it back. Ant is actually miles ahead. But ILRGT has put himself in a really good position with that strategy, having started well down the field. That one stop did some good work in that opening stint. Now he can get after Murdoch for a chance at 4th place. The gap then between Ant and smudge is 16 seconds. That's an awful lot to make up in 11 laps, and I don't think he's going to do it. Plus add 3 seconds to that as well with a penalty, so going to be a tough one for Ant. Again, he puts himself in the good positions in qualifying, but there's no points handed out for qualifying. This ain't Formula 2. There are no points handed out for qualifying, and there are no points handed out for fastest laps. More often than not, Ant has gone for a 2-stop over the 1, and more often than not it has come back to bite him, and I think he'll do well to get 2nd place even today. Danskar, a very quiet race for Danskar. This must be the loneliest 2nd place. I can probably imagine 8 seconds behind Smudge, although Ant will certainly be closing in. That 7-second gap will be coming down now between now and the rest of the race. He might catch him, but of course it's one thing to catch, another thing to overtake. Meanwhile, further down, battle for 11th place. Crumpet on fresh softs has caught back up to Mara Messi, yellow flag in sector 3. Daziek is off the track and he's into a wall, so possibly lost the back end at high speed. That's another penalty for Baza. Baza is racking these up, really hurting his chances of some solid points. He's in 7th at the moment, but that's at least 3 penalties. Crumpet, much fresher super softs. He's going to go for it down the inside into turn 1. Side by side runs a bit wide, so Mara Messi keeps that position. He's been fairly robust in his defending today, has Mara Messi. And for now it's for P11, and it's going to be hard to imagine Crumpet not getting by on this time of asking. A much tighter run as Daziek pits, and that should be an easy overtake then for Crumpet. He wash over onto the racing line, he does. Oh, and Mara Messi has not been able to slow down in time, and has hit into the back of Crumpet and has damaged his wing. The one bright spot for him is that Rob is the car behind, 16 lap old softs and 7 odd seconds behind, so I think he will be okay. Meanwhile, ILRGT has been catching Murdoch for 4th on those fresh supers. Murdoch supers aren't too old themselves, as Baza comes into the pits and ILRGT picks up a penalty, trying to put a move onto Murdoch, and there you go, that is ILRGT into P4. And there is the Red Bull of Ant in front, so not a million miles away. 7 seconds. Baza then is going to drop out of the points here, and Mara Messi is coming in then to replace that front wing. I don't think this will be ultimately too many positions lost. Rob will go by for now, but I think Rob will probably have to make another stop. Ultra softs for Mara Messi, interesting choice. He'll do well to get those to the end. But Baza already looking to make work on his pit stop. And the DRS behind Crumpet. But once he gets by Crumpet, he's got to do a lot of pushing, because he's got a lot of penalties to try and make up for if he wants to keep that 10th place. Although to be fair, Crumpet has a few as well. So make the way through turn 10. A 3-second penalty for Danskar. Well, that won't help his case to try and keep P2. That puts him level on penalties, I believe, with Ant. So if Ant can catch up to the back of that McLaren, it will be a straight duel for 2nd place. 5.7 is the gap. He has been closing, and Baza has also been closing. Runs a bit wide as Crumpet picks up a penalty. Again, they're really struggling through turns 14 and 15. Down the straight to go for the 20th time. Definitely not close enough to make a move on this occasion. He's knocking on the door, getting a little bit closer. Same story with Dogs and the judge. That is 2 penalties he's picked up in very, very quick succession. Dogs is just 8/10 behind the judge. And actually Dogs, well, he's got a good chance for 7th. Oh, flag in sector 2. Not sure what that's for. Doesn't look like anything is going on. Dogs has got a chance for P7. The judge on older softs. Alex might be a bit too far away though. So I think Dogs is looking at the best he can do. Baza finally gets by Crumpet. And he should begin to pull away now. In that final points paying position. Not the race he would have wanted. It's been a tough one. Of course, having started in second, strategy has not gone his way. Race hasn't gone his way. And both him and Morris have lost out pretty significantly through their strategy choice, and has as well. Obviously down from 1st to 3rd. And the big gainers, Smudge from 4th, Danskar 7th. And what could have been for John had he not been hit down the main straight. And I got to give a shout out to Lily Ash as well. From 12th, he's looking very nice as indeed for a solid 4th place. Pulling away now from Murdoch in 5th. So the race begins to wind down now. A few positions left to be decided. Mostly guys running on fresher tyres, on fresher compounds. That being said, Alex is definitely catching Murdoch. So I'm not too sure how that's come to be. But Alex is just 6/10 now behind Murdoch for 5th. And that's another penalty for Baza. Again, I think people are having some issues with strict corner cutting. We could see a disqualification, yes, you just never know. So now a few battles now on track. Alex all over the back. On 11 lap old softs compared to 8 lap old supers, and the wings look fine. So just Murdoch really struggling for pace at this phase of the race. It's all seemed to disappear. Can Alex take advantage? Murdoch swerves, try and defend the line. Down the inside goes Alex. And that's an easy move in the end. And there's Alex then into P5. Can Dogs get a move done now? Not quite. Still hounding the back of that Sauber. Of course, the sole remaining Sauber now in this race, with Fernandez's crash. Big lock up there for the judge. I think this will be a good opportunity now for Dogs as he opens the DRS. The judge tries to psych him out. A little bit of lag, but down the inside goes Dogs. And Crumpet is racking up these penalties. I won't be surprised if we see disqualification here. I really won't at this stage. Some people are definitely knocking on the door. Absolutely. Right, interesting situation now. Ant is he's less than 3 seconds now behind Danskar. So he is definitely beginning to catch in on that McLaren. And I think he's going to do it. I think he will catch up to the back of that McLaren. Can he do anything? Will the tyres give him anything once he gets there? As Murdoch comes into the pits, so he could not handle those tyres anymore. And he's going to come in. He's going to lose considerable positions. Dogs will fly by, the judge will fly by, but he should pop out in front of Morris Minor. Or will he? He's going to be close actually. And he's going to get by him as well, so a lot of time lost for Murdoch, and now he's got his teammate as well behind. But he's on fresh ultras, so should be able to make quick work of Morris, but I don't think he'll get a chance to catch up to the judge in P7. So couldn't make that set last. Of course, thinking back now, we knew he had to pit again anyways, because he did stick on a second set of supers rather than setting a set of softs. And if he'd selected a set of softs for his second stint, he'd be at least P6, I think. But alas, that is not the case, and he swoops by Morris Minor to take back P8. And 8 seconds, well, he could catch up to the back of Judge. We'll see. Just a few laps remaining. Not impossible given the tyres, but I do think he's got a lot more penalties than the Judge, so maybe check that. Put that thought into check. I don't think it'll come to be. At the front, Smudge very much in control. 6.7 seconds is his gap to Dan's car. He's just 2.4 now ahead of Ant. So, and that gap is beginning to shrink a little slowly than before. And the gap is just 2 seconds now. We're going to get close. Yellow flag in sector 2. Again, they just wave these flags for the crack, I think. Nothing going on. Look at that, you can see him now. And I think he does sniff a chance at P2. As the car chasing, you always, once you begin to see him in your sights, you know you've got that advantage. And that just encourages that little bit more to keep pushing. You know your target is close, and that target is getting a lot closer. Let's take a look at the lap times. Dan's car comes across, completes lap 25, 36.9, 34.7 for Ant. He's going to be within DRS range before that main straight, that main DRS straight. I don't think Dan's car is going to have a lot to do when he comes. It's going to be close. Can he get himself within the activation zone? He does, just 9/10 then. There he is. He won't get close enough this time, but he's setting himself up for a run in the very, very near future. Lap 25. Just 2.5 laps remaining now. Again, yellow flags for fun. There is a bit of traffic in front. I think it is one of the Ferraris. I think it could be Jacko. There it is. So, has to be careful not to get too involved in the scrap for P2. And there he gets out of the way using the extra surface, extra runoff road, the extra track limits to let these two by. And that has cost Ant a bit. He just hasn't. He's lost a bit of ground this lap now, 36 flat, and so he's slipped back out of DRS range. Well, Murdoch, look at that, he actually did catch the Judge in the end, so he's made up a lot of time. Again, just shows you what a fresh set of boots will do for you. He's absolutely flying and should make mincemeat of the Judge. There you go then. Now, I don't think he'll make it back up then to Murdoch, so I think those supers they've dropped off now. I think the supers, they've lost their prime. So just in that lap where he just got up to the back of Dan's car in that DRS zone, he's now almost 3 seconds behind. So either the tyres have gone, or just an extremely scruffy lap and a half, and he's missed the braking zone completely. Those supers should not be dying this early. Must be having a very poor run on them. But generally speaking, those supers are fine for 11, 12 laps. And for Ant to be just struggling so much at this phase with just 9, again, a lot less fuel in the car, and just 9 laps away. Really struggling. But alas, Smudge rounding the final corner for the second to last time. Beginning lap 27, the final lap of the race. Is there anything left to be decided now? I don't think so. I think everything is fairly well set now at this phase of the race. Ant is just absolutely dying. 40. He did a 40 that lap. It's hard to say what is going on. He's just... His tyres are just giving him absolutely nothing. He can barely turn in for anything. Absolutely bizarre that those tyres are giving up on him like that. They'd have to be a U set, surely. There's no way he should be having this. I think that's maybe what it is. But that doesn't make any sense. I don't know, that's extremely strange. I want to say they're a U set if he's struggling this much, but he was cruising up to the back of Dan's car, so it's really hard to say. Anyways, tyre controversies aside, Morris Minor is closing up to the judge. There's something to keep an eye on. But we also have to keep an eye on Smudge, the race leader, rounding the final few corners. As Morris Minor looking to get by Judge on the final lap of P8. Down the inside he goes. Well, has to cut back because Smudge is going to come across the line and he wins the French Grand Prix. A great drive by Smudge. Dan's car will come across the line and take second place. Very lonely drive for Dan's car in the end. On the absolutely dying set of supers, and finishes in third. A great drive from ILRGT. It's going to put him fourth for the moment. Will Alex jump him on penalties? He will. So Alex ends up in fourth, ILRGT in fifth. Good race from Dogs. He'll finish sixth. Murdoch flying on those ultras. He will finish in seventh. Morris Minor crossing the line. Then we'll jump Murdoch on penalties. The judge as well. So a lot of penalties then handed out today. And Mr. Crumpet will be our last driver to finish, somehow avoiding a disqualification. Can't wait to see this screen showing the penalty situation. Across the line he goes. An entertaining French Grand Prix, a controversial French Grand Prix in many ways as well. But it is the Force India of Smudge on the top step. He had the right strategy. The one stop once again prevails. And Ant Attack, I think, will be ruin once again his choice in qualifying and his choices in the race. They have left him chasing once again. And Dan's car, as he always does, pick up a solid result there in second. A lonely race for him in the end. So then, it is Smudge with no penalties leading the way. Have Dan's car and in third. Alex fourth, ILRGT fifth. Dogs in sixth. Morris Minor 7th, Murdoch 8th, 3 penalties then for this bunch in the end. The judge in 9th, Baza in 10th, excuse me, with 15 seconds of penalties. Mr. Crumpet, how on earth was he not disqualified? 10 penalties for 30 seconds. That is absolutely incredible. Mara Messi 12th, Daziek 13th, Jacko 14th, Rob 15th, then the DNFs, Fernandez, John plays, same rampage. Let me just try and just scroll through this. Unbelievable stuff. 30 seconds somehow does not get you disqualified. And the hilarious thing is he could not be passed. No one could even overtake him because he was on the lead lap. The others, of course, crossed the line behind the leaders and they finished the race. Meaning it doesn't matter. You could have 50,000 seconds of penalties. It wouldn't make a difference because he would be on the lead lap. And because he's on the lead lap, he finishes the race ahead of those guys despite having 30 seconds of penalties. Fantastic stuff. No podium interviews today. I have to scoot off in a hurry. So that was the French Grand Prix for ILR6. Interesting stuff as always. You can catch more action here at the French Grand Prix very soon for ILR 3 and 4. So hope you join us for that then. Until next time.